Christians, especially my friend Rick Moore, who had a very good question. And the question was, did God know what our nature was and or would be when he created us? Especially knowing what children would be like. So now, here's my answer to this question. It is hard to reconcile with human minds why God would permit such an imperfection to exist in his creation. We know that he made Adam perfect and upright and without sin. And we know that he told Adam and Eve, he gave them one command, and that was not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But notice what he says. He says, for in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. He says, in the day that you eat thereof. And there almost seems to be the implication that it is inevitable. The inevitability of their polluting themselves was just about a matter of time. So the answer to the question is, did God know what nature that we had and that we would devolve into? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. When it comes to children, they are exactly what we were when we started out. So all of us have inherited that corrupt nature that Adam passed on to us by his original sin. So here is a rule of thumb when it comes to things that don't seem to make sense in our mind when it comes to God. And it is, whenever it is we are looking at something and we are confused as to why God would allow it or permit it or ordain it, whatever your perspective may be on the issue, I look at God's attributes. We know that there are three essential attributes that God has. One, that he's omniscient, meaning he knows all things. Two, that he's omnipotent, that he's all powerful. And in three, that he's omnipresent. He's everywhere, always, at once. There's no place where God is not. Now, if you take these three elements, God's omniscience, his omnipresence, and his omnipotence, we can see that there is nothing that can take place that God didn't know, because he knows all things. He's omniscient. There's nothing that he could not have changed or altered or stopped, because he's omnipotent, meaning that he's all powerful. And because he's omnipresent, whatever has gone wrong, he was there when it went wrong. He was there before it went wrong. He was there when it went wrong. He'll be there for everything that goes wrong from our perspective in the future. So even when Adam fell, God was there. God witnessed the whole thing. God knew it was going to happen. God could have prevented it from happening. And yet, God ordained it all to happen for reasons in himself that we frankly don't know. We know that God has ordained things, all things that have taken place and that shall take place. And we know that he had a reason for doing it, and those reasons somehow, some way, glorify him. And it is incumbent upon those of the Christian faith to believe and to trust that what God has done, it is being done for things that glorify him and the things that uplift and edify his people. God is preparing a people for himself to be a part of things that are yet to come. Keep believing and endure, Rick. God knows. And this is what our confidence is. Be provoked and be persuaded.